What's up, my brother? Michael Deline in the house. Can y'all hear me? Mic check. Right on. Appreciate it. Right on. Appreciate it. What's happening now? T Maz. So, um, whether it was one or 30 people on here, you know, I was gonna go. So let's go. So, I've made some observations this year, and I just want to share my take on what I've observed. And I think there are two growing epidemics. The first epidemic is hyper-masculinity. Now, hyper-masculinity is not just something that occurs in men. Hyper-masculinity is something that is unisex. It's cross-gender. Hyper-masculinity refers to one's expression or one's image or the concern with how one is perceived, as opposed to femininity would be what is the essence, what's the core of what is being expressed, what's behind it, what's the truth, what's the real. And you know, when you study like ancient mythology, you'll find that this what people like to talk about because it sounds good, the divine feminine and all that shit. You know, we can say all that because it's something that's catchy and so forth, but in essence, I witnessed that a lot of that is not what's the word I'm looking for? It is not displayed in people's actions. Hypermasculinity, like I said, is about being more concerned about looking a certain way and also about appearing to have everything figured out. Appearing to have everything figured out. From a numerological standpoint, the zero or the cipher is the womb, okay? The first number that emerges from the cipher is the masculine one. It wants to act, it wants to be seen, it wants to make things happen. After the one emerges, it then splits itself and it becomes two. And then the two provides reflection. But the two is the same as the zero. See, the zero is the mother who moves through the sun to realize herself as, we can call it, the daughter, or as the just another aspect of herself. But that's what the number two is. Hypermasculinity denotes an imbalance to where the number one keeps acting, but there's no reception. There's no reception. For speaking to be made coherent and clear, there has to be reception. There has to be a hearing. Okay? That's feminine. So hypermasculinity Another trait of hypermasculinity is motherfuckers who can't listen. Can't listen. In communications, we call it active communication. Well, we call it selective uh, listening, selective hearing. So selective listening or hearing is that you're only, and I know I've talked about this before, but hell, the truth can be repeated endlessly. Selective hearing is that you are only listening for an opportunity to rebut. You're not listening to understand. You're listening so that you can just fire back and rebut, because the one without the companionship of the two is insecure. Insecure. Insecurity is one of the key forms of nutrition for hypermasculinity. Oh, I know. I got to figure it out. I'm this. I'm that. I'm from here. I'm here and y'all are down here. Hypermasculinity. Hypermasculinity. Some of this can be attributed to age. You know, because when I was younger at one time, and you know, I thought that I would never get old. I thought I would never, you know, lose some degree of strength, or, you know, not slow down until all of a sudden you go in the gym and you tear some shit one day and you realize that you are fallible. Well, in life itself, as you age, the aging process is feminine, because as you age, you are returning back to that which you came from. The folly of youth is that you think that you're going to be young forever. All of us go through that. We think we're going to be young forever. So what you do is, that's why men fuck like jackrabbits if they're capable, you know, when they're young, because you have all this built up, even on the most mundane level. You got all this light you got to get out, as in semen. Oh, I gotta bust this nut. I gotta bust it. And if you go too far, you burn your light out. Okay? Because in the midst of all of this stuff, you never think that you're gonna age. You never think that all this light you got can be burnt out. Well, the same thing applies just in life as a whole. Is, you know, and this can be people who shit in their 60s who still ain't, you know, still projecting hyper-masculinity, ain't figured out yet that for all of the expressions of how much I know and what I am and I'm this and that there has to be humility. See, people don't like using this word. Don't like using the word humility. And this is the trick of all this so-called consciousness. A lot of these books were put out, tell you you're a star seed, you're a rainbow seed, you're a Lyran, and all these other names and shit to feed your ego. Our ego. It's not you, like I'm, our egos. To constantly, to give us that fringe group of people who are introducing this, who are interested in this type of information, to feed your ego, to say, oh, I'm better, I'm this and that. Or what if everybody's special? Where would that leave you if everybody is special? It only comes down to a matter of people just developing what they already have. Where would that leave you? See, most times people are looking to feel like they are better because, again, the hyper-masculine aspect of us is fed by insecurity. And when you're insecure, you don't want to listen to nobody. You don't want to yield the floor. You always want to be projecting yourself to be something more than you are. That's an epidemic. And it's an epidemic that is pervasive amongst men and women. And it's a form of retardation. It is a form of retardation. Now, what also bolsters this attitude or this mindset is capitalism. Capitalism was created to destroy the artisan. In the so-called dark ages or medieval times, you had artist guilds. And this is where actually Freemasonry was woven into society through your artist guilds. And these people were master craftsmen. These were people who studied their trade and became proficient. Okay? Now, what capitalism does is it comes in and it floods the market. When I was a trainer, you know, everything that I do, I consider it to be an art. I consider myself to be an artist. I strive for mastery. Well, guess what? 15 years ago, you could easily, if you were a master at that craft, you could make six figures. Well, guess what happens when you come and you put a gym on every corner, and then later on you make memberships $10? What does it do? It ruins the value of the artisan because it devalues the whole industry. You've devalued the whole concept of a person becoming fit, healthy, understanding nutrition, and all you do is you just throw a bunch of warm bodies in there to walk around the gym with somebody, just because the dude might have a big chest or some big arms, or the woman may have some nice legs. Oh, she can be a good trainer. Throw her in there, and people end up with injuries, no results, disgruntled, discouraged, because capitalism is set up to destroy the artisan, to destroy the whole concept of value. So the same thing happens in other aspects of life. You take away the value of things, you devalue it by flooding it. And so what do you have now? You have a flood of everybody and their mama is a master now. Everybody and their mama can help you figure out all your problems. And motherfuckers living in a goddamn shoebox. Living in a motherfucking shoebox. Bullet holes in the motherfucking wall. And the motherfucker gonna sit up on a goddamn camera and tell you how they can help you with all your fucking problems. Cause it's about, I'm just gonna fake it till I make it. So I'm gonna create this character and sell it to you. And if you believe in this shit, and if you can feed my false narrative long enough, maybe I can become this shit. Hyper-masculinity. Hyper-masculinity. Bullshit. And I said it, and like Pimp C say, a motherfucking fight come with that. I'm gonna say this, cause goddamn it, we're just gonna be truthful. I see motherfuckers make little videos and trying to hint, have some balls and call my name. Cause I speak the motherfucking truth, at least as I know it. It's irritating. It's a world full of fucking facades. Is there anybody who's not too afraid to be themselves? Not too afraid to fucking be honest? Not too motherfucking afraid to admit that every day is not a great day and that I ain't got shit all figured out. Everything ain't all peachy for me. I'm still fumbling my way through the matrix just like you. Is there anybody out there? Is there a real motherfucker left on this planet? Motherfucking bullshit. But then again, hyper-masculinity is also fed by low self-esteem. I have witnessed people with low self-esteem. And therefore, you make yourself a target for just straight up bullshit. Straight up bullshit. Because you hate yourself. And on this one, I'm separating myself because I don't fit into that motherfucking category. I don't fit into that shit. You're not going to sit here and convince me that I need to follow you. And I encourage everyone to adopt that mindset. And it's probably best just to turn off YouTube. Yeah, it's probably best. Because I'm going to tell you what, man. The greatest magician there is, or the greatest magicians there are the creators of YouTube and Facebook or whatever else you want to. They're the greatest fucking magicians. You know why? Because they've created a place for fucking powerless people to pretend that they are fucking powerful. They've created a space for powerless people to pretend that they are powerful. I'm always tickled when a person gets on here and talk shit, then they shit gets shut down, and then they be crying about, what the fuck do you think? But then it all hits home. Who is the real magician here? It's fucking YouTube. Because now you created a space where people can get on here. You can feel like you're a celebrity. You have your little people who pump your head up and tell you how great you are, and still you got them fucking bullet holes in the wall. And those bullet holes is not just about mundane surface stuff. We're talking about also bullet holes in your fucking soul. I have learned this year the power of being humble. The power of being humble. I know motherfuckers don't want to hear that shit, but I could give two shits. Motherfuckers need to learn how to listen and learn something. Shut the fuck up talking all the time and listen and learn. Humility. Before this clock rolls over tonight into a new fiscal year, or whatever type of year we want to call it, take a good long shit. You need to defecate. You need to get some of this funky ass shit out of your fucking intestines, out of your colon. You need to take a good shit. A physical shit, a spiritual shit, whatever other type of shit you want to call it. Get this shit out of your system. Hyper-Masculinity. It's an epidemic levels. I'm not afraid to admit that I don't have everything figured out. I'm not afraid to admit I don't know everything. I'm not afraid to admit that I ain't always likable and don't fucking want to be likable all the time. You got to figure out who matters the most to you in this world. Who matters the most? Who matters the most? And usually the best way to identify that is to figure out when you were at your lowest times in life, and who did you feel comfortable to confide in your lowest times, and you didn't feel like an idiot after you did it. Now when you can put that group together, now that's who matters, and that's it. Everything else beyond that is just cannon fodder. All these stupid ass fucking groups, stupid ass fucking names, bullshit don't mean shit. Motherfuckers ain't changed a bit. You done changed your name 29 motherfucking times. You still the same fucked up ass motherfucker that you was 6 months ago, 6 years ago. Get off the dumb shit. God damn it. Get a dose of this sour before the year end out. Sour ass motherfucking truth. It's a cleansing. It's a purging. And I have been rewarded, not just on no fucking abstract level. I've been rewarded on a purely physical level. If you're talking about just actual manifestation, let me tell you something. There ain't no tricks in fucking life. There ain't no tricks. The number one way to manifest things is through transformation. Is through transformation. Transformation, you don't transform unless you're being sincere, unless you're being honest, unless you're fully aware of your intentions, unless you can demonstrate humility. You don't transform. But when you do those things and you do transform, look here, man, shit starts happening in your favor. Big shit. And I ain't told you shit about my life, and I ain't gonna tell shit. At least not now. I may, but fuck it, motherfucker can speculate. People who know, they know, and who need to know, they know. If I ain't told you, because you don't fucking need to know. Because I figured out a lot of shit this year. I figured out a lot of motherfucking shit. A lot of it about myself. Put my ego in check. And it's been painful. Very, very painful. To the point where, pain manifests in my body. And that's how a purge will work. I mean, it will, as above, so below, as within, so without. But I've been able to heal. Too much talk goes into empty terms. And it done made me get to the point, I don't want to say certain things. I don't want to use the word magic no more. I don't want to use the word occult. I don't want to use the terms. I don't even want to refer to no fucking chakras. Heart chakra and all this. And everybody's a fucking master now. Got all the answers for everybody, but have you mastered your fucking self? Here's the thing. I'm gonna be transparent. I try to always be transparent. I came to a realization that my so-called spiritual awakening at a point had been used as a crutch for me to just be accepting of my failures. I'm ready to destroy this shit. I'm ready for this shit just to be over with. That's a cop-out. And you know how I can say it? Because I've done it. That's a fucking cop-out, man. I'm trying to tell you, it's a fucking cop-out. Stop making excuses to be a sorry motherfucker. If you are a person who can't ever plan something, follow through with it, stick to it, and make the shit, that has nothing to do with the world being fucked up. That's you being fucked up. That's you. That's you. So the destruction of the world needs to be the destruction of your fucking world. That's what I realized. Man, and it's been a bitter pill. when I realized what revelation really meant, yeah, there is an overall destination, if you will, for the world as we know it. Okay? But in essence, revelation is your fucking world. That story is not a overarching, it's a story of you. What will be revealed from you across the line. You go and read in the Bhagavad Gita. This is probably the best place to read about revelation. Or, no, I'm not going to say best. That's a bad. It's a great complementary text. Because in the Bhagavad Gita, you see Arjuna is supposed to be the human aspect. And Arjuna has these interactions with Krishna. And Arjuna is like, I want to see what's the real deal. Show me the truth. Motherfucker. Big sausage head ass motherfucker. This motherfucker about 400 pounds in a Ford, what's them little Ford, whatever it is, that motherfucker fit him like a G-string. Anyway, Arjuna tells Krishna, I want to see the real. And what he sees is this hideous shit, monster, all these fangs. Motherfucker got all these eyeballs over his head, multiple tongues, and he's a destroyer of worlds. What's the real essence of the story? Arjuna is seeing the destruction of himself. What he perceives himself to be, what he thinks he is, what his outlook, all that shit is being destroyed. And that has happened to me throughout this year. Sometimes it's been every month, sometimes every damn week, it's been a new version of Jamal. So then I get frustrated with people if I keep changing and then I'm talking to the same version of a person. You got to understand, you're not talking to the same version of me, so I don't see you the same way. If you still on that same old bullshit. There is nobody you need to help you do shit. All you need to do is be honest with yourself. That's all you need. That's the most masterful thing you can do, is be real with yourself. Be honest with yourself. Peace, Erica. That's the realest thing you can do, is to be honest with yourself. Everybody's trying to sell some shit with some names on it, this and that. You know, it's such bullshit. It's such bullshit. And let me tell you something too about time. Time will reveal bullshit. Like I say, the hyper-masculine aspect never wants to acknowledge the fact that it will age. It will not always be, this idea that can be put forth that, oh, I'm this and I'm that. You're gonna fade. You're gonna fade. So here's what happens when you are humble. When you're humble, you don't actually fade, you just improve. You may fade in one area. It might be, like I got these gray hairs. I got these gray hairs in my beard. Peace, sisters. I got these gray hairs in my beard. That's a sign. You know what? You know what that really is? It's a sign of me dying. Let's just fucking be honest. From the moment you come out your mama's womb, you are dying. Do you understand that? This shit is not a fucking joke. Why waste your time on this earth being a fucking joke? Trying to impress people, trying to lie about what you are. That's why a lot of this new age, occult, and all this other bullshit is to put out to trick motherfuckers. The truth is always simple. It's always simple. But I find that people don't like simple. People want some fucking Hollywood shit. You don't want nobody to give you nothing simple. Well, God damn it, the truth is supposed to be simple. The shit don't work like they show you in the movies. That's bullshit. You start actually changing and be willing to suffer. Once you become willing to suffer and to grow through your suffering, listen to me. Things will happen for you on all levels. On all levels, they will suffer. And this is just a little nugget, just a little jewel to give you. The suffix, the suffer, the consonants in the word suffer are SFR. Okay. Now in Arabic, that is pronounced asfa, asfa. Now asfa is also the name for gold. Okay. Alchemy. Okay. Now, one of the most expensive floral, I guess, ingredients you can put on your food is called saffron. Saffron is very expensive. Okay. Now, saffron has the basic same consonants in the root. Suffer, SFR. So if you're looking for the damn secret, baby, it's suffering. Suffering. The problem is this hyper-masculinity puts this spin on suffering to say, oh, you can bypass all of that. Oh, and then I don't deal with all that. I don't suffer. I don't, and if you had a certain level, you wouldn't have. That's bullshit. Don't you understand that humanity itself is, first of all, let's just say this. Shit done got too complicated and it's way too simple. The only person suffering is God, because that's all that exists. That's all that exists is God. That's why when you take the Shahada, there is no God but Allah. That's not nothing to do with being a Orthodox Muslim. What is really being said is that there is nothing but Allah. That's all that exists. People got us running around Robin Hood's barnyard, going here, going there. Oh, well, you don't want to work with this one, and this is the good deities, and these are the bad. Look, man, cut that motherfucking bullshit. There is nothing but God that exists. So there's nothing but God suffering. That's the only way for God to learn when you are everything is to restrict yourself and become finite. When you are infinite, the only way to grow is to make yourself finite. An element. So that makes yourself small, so that you can be constricted, contracted, squeezed, which is suffering. I learned this shit a long time ago when I played sports. I learned when I played sports that the more that I was willing to suffer, the better season I would have. I had better endurance. I had better strength. I had better awareness. I had more quickness, depending on from the moment the season ended, depending on how well I would suffer, as in those off-season workouts. It was the suffering that I was willing to endure. When I was competitively bodybuilding, the more I was willing to suffer. That means my diet. That means doing extra cardio.